Hey friends, it's Tess, this is Wander Wealthy, and today I'm talking about spending triggers. We are in the thick of the no spend challenge. We're doing 1 month of not spending money at different levels, so whatever is most pertinent to you at this day and age. You can click up here to see the video on how I introduce the no spend month. Also, if you want to get involved in a no spending challenge, you can come to the Wealthy Wanderers private Facebook community. We've been doing a no spend challenge there for the month of May in 2018, but there's going to be plenty of opportunities for new people entering the community to create additional no spend months. It's just so good to do these challenges to get more aware about your spending. One big thing that keeps people spending and in this sort of spending routine or spending addiction are their spending triggers. The things that they see or they feel or they hear in their daily lives that then get them into this, okay, maybe I need to spend money, maybe I need to buy these things, I need that, I need this, I need everything. We all have spending triggers and they come in all different shapes and sizes, but I'm gonna share 4 examples of spending triggers that you can identify, because if you can identify your spending triggers, you can find ways to first avoid them, but avoiding isn't always the answer. Second is to overcome them. But first we just need to identify them and see how we can at least avoid them for the time being, especially while you go through this no spend month. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the little bell so you can be notified when I upload new videos. And without further ado, let's get into it. The number 1 spending trigger that we have is social media. Us humans are spending more and more time on our phones, scrolling through social media, and although you might not actively be noticing that these are spending triggers, subconsciously they are. Because as we scroll through and look at everyone else's edited lives, we somehow feel this feeling of inadequacy or that we are not enough. And a lot of times these social media influencers or whoever it is that you are looking at when it comes to social media, they may be in the business of selling you things because they make money by advertising products for bigger companies to their followers. And not that this is a bad thing. I actually think it's really cool and really innovative for the marketing and advertising space. However, for the average person who spends a lot of time on social media, you end up scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and you're being sold to. This can be a way that even if it's not consciously reading and getting a sales pitch written to you on a social media post, it is subconsciously seeing these items, seeing their lavish lives that people are living, and feeling like you don't have that item, you would like it. This is a spending trigger. Obviously, one way to avoid that is just to be a lot more aware when you are on your phone and notice your emotions and your feelings as you scroll through, but also, take a cleanse or just shut off and limit your social media time. This is something I've personally been doing by not bringing my phone into my bed so that in the morning when I am in the most brain state of just my subconscious mind going through the motions, I'm not feeding it with social media. Instead, I'm feeding it good food and exercise or meditation or reading a book and trying to get my brain ready for the day. But while I'm still in that fogginess of just waking up, I don't want to just look at my phone immediately and start feeding it those messages. Same thing applies when I'm going to bed. I don't want to bring my phone into bed and subconsciously be scrolling through as I'm trying to just numb my brain and get away from the day. I would rather like to quiet it down with some reading or just talking with my partner while we are getting ready for bed. Spending trigger number 2 has to do with our habits and our routines. When I used to go to an office job, I literally walked through a mall every single day, twice a day. My commute was a train into this underground walkway that took me directly through a mall. And there was a Zara and an Anthropologie and a Steve Madden store, and man, my spending triggers went off. This is something that you probably do, whether you drive to work and you take a certain route, or it could be just routines of being on your computer and having that Amazon.com shortcut in your Google Chrome. Whatever it is, identify those spending triggers, especially the ones that have to do with your daily habits and routines, and figure out a way around them. Whether it's to take a new route to work or to delete your credit card or even delete the shortcut from your computer so that you don't have that easy access, the convenience of people putting these spending opportunities in front of you, just getting it out of your way so that you aren't so easily triggered to spend. The third spending trigger is boredom. How many times do you get super bored and you want to fill your brain with just, I don't know, browsing on the internet, looking for new things to buy, or even just new things to dream about buying, but it gets you into that spending state. In addition, the whole social media thing also is part of boredom, so in general, boredom is just not good for us. I would suggest to make a list of all the other things you can do when you're bored, aside from turning to your phone and looking through social media, or looking at a magazine that's sole purpose and intent is to sell, or reading a blog that airs on the more salesy material side, or just literally going on different stores' websites. So finding alternatives to that, like reading a book or learning something new, writing in a journal, meditating, going for a walk, working out. Even one that I personally love is picking up a hobby that actually takes your spending into a money-making opportunity. One of the things that I've done, and I've seen numerous people do because I'm in this financial blogging space, is a lot of people who've struggled with debt or struggled with spending started blogging about their debt or their spending, and eventually their blog was a hobby that took them away from spending, helped them set goals and build accountability for themselves to completely 180 their life when it came to their finances. So many of these bloggers have gotten out of debt and have turned their blogs into money-making opportunities. And what better way to manage your spending addiction than to turn it around and actually make it a money-making thing? I started out with a podcast, and then I created my blog around the same time, and then I created a YouTube channel, and I have a lot of content about how to start a podcast or how to build a website and how to do this really cheaply. Now, it's hard when it's the no spend month, but you can start making plans for your future blogging hobby if you want. So you can click the links in the down bar below where I share in the different blog posts how you can start your own blog or podcast, and eventually I'll probably do one on a YouTube channel as well. If you're interested in that, let me know. But I think that having a hobby that you can put all of your energy into can take you so far out of that spending addiction, because now that time of boredom is filled with time where you're strategizing or you're writing or you're researching, and it just guides you into a different route and takes you away from needing to spend. Obviously, you don't want to make excuses to spend money on your hobby because it's supposed to be the hobby that takes you away from spending, so just be aware of that. And that happens with all hobbies that you pick up, whether it is working out and being really physically fit, or it's getting super into yoga and meditation, or it's making healthy foods. Whatever your new hobby is that fills those boredom gaps, it can still lead to spending, so just be cautious. And finally, the fourth spending trigger that I have identified, and like I said, there's a number of spending triggers, but these are the real big ones that I've seen. The fourth one is sadness or just pure unhappiness. I wrote a blog post a long time ago about how hating your job is costing you a lot of money, because if you are unhappy in the work that you're doing, you're probably going out to happy hour and spending money on booze, trying to make your life better, going out to dinner, going out to lunch, or spending money on clothes, or just other types of shopping, because you're trying to find a way to fulfill yourself when the bulk of your time in your day is making you terribly unhappy. And the same thing can go for heartbreak, whether you are recently out of a relationship or you lose someone really close to you. Sometimes we mend our heartbreak or our feelings of sadness with spending. It's really important to go back to the emotions that I had talked about in the previous video and really building an understanding of the emotions that you have, and sometimes just bringing the bad negative emotions to light, to the surface, and letting them breathe and filling them then with more positive emotions can be a really strong exercise exercise. That's a really big spending trigger to pay attention to, but to also perhaps seek additional counsel with those emotional spending triggers. So those are the big 4 spending triggers that I have identified, that I have mostly dealt with in my life, but there's so many more. So if you have more spending triggers, I'd love to hear. Leave it in the comment below. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I ended up turning this video into a part 1 and part 2 because I think that it just got a little long and it had kind of 2 separate sections, so I hope it made sense. Make sure you check out the first one, I'll link it up here. If you wanna join us in this no spend challenge or create your own any time of any year, then hop on over to the Wander Wealthy private Facebook community. Go to wanderwealthy.com/FB to figure out how you can get involved, and until I see you there, I hope you wander wealthy.